Want to go round robin with them?
Well, yeah, let's go over numbers. You guys should have gotten an email a couple weeks ago about the numbers we want to report, because we report numbers every week, as I explained. And so, and I'll bring it up in case, let me bring it up. I'll get off for a second and bring it up. But it's how many listings, how many appointments did you have? Any closings? How many phone calls did you make for the week? Contacts? Huh?
I just made you host so you can share.
Oh, that's okay, Bruce. You can go back. I know what I know what Nick. So let's go through and talk about how many contacts you had, how many appointments you set, how many you went on, how many listing contracts you got, and how many closings you had. We want to try to do that every week because those are numbers that we report as well. And it helps the region understand and figure out the direction that we're taking. If you all remember David's meeting last week, he mentioned that we're really going to become a listing company if you think about it. And so that's just where our focus has been. So we want to be able to track those numbers. And how come I lost everybody? Where am I at? There we go. So let's start off with Ann.
Ann had, let's see, 42 contacts.
Nice.
One pseudo listing appointment and one buyer appointment. No closings.
Okay, and did you get contracts out of those appointments?
Out of my buyer one, yeah.
Okay, so 42 contacts. Okay, Ann, good job.
Nice job, man.
Okay, next, let's see. Erica. Hi.
I had 7 contacts and then nothing else. I was focusing a lot the last couple weeks on Ignite, so I kind of let a lot of things fall apart on me. So I'm using this week to get back up there.
Okay, if you need any help, holler at us.
I'm writing that down. I know Sherry was on there too. I want to know a couple of ahas later on.
Sherry?
So I'm with Erica. I'm not even gonna lie. Like my contacts per day went to crap. So that is one thing that is on my list to get back to my 10 contacts a day. I don't have any closings this week, and no appointments also this week.
Okay. Tim?
Is it contacts for the full week?
Yes.
I'm hopping on the lazy train with everybody. I've probably had around 5 contacts, but they're all very purposeful contacts. Let's see. I did have a listing appointment tomorrow, but he just canceled. And then no closings. No.
Okay. Ariana?
Same here. I only had 10 contacts last week.
Okay. All right, let's see who else. Is that it? Let's see. Chad?
Good day. How are you?
Good, you?
Doing all right. Because I'm still new and still don't actually have my license. Still waiting on Dora. Excuse me. I did have actually a couple of contacts last week. I have a potential actually lister that talking to. So it's a friend of the family, but they're looking to move to Florida.
Okay.
I'm talking to them and gave them my contact information. So hopefully can groom that the next week or so and move that forward.
Good. Hey, I'll take friends any day of the week. Or family. Okay, Melissa. Yoo-hoo! Shout out to Melissa. She finally got her buyer under contract.
Yay! Good job.
This was a good one. This is what I call persistent pays off, because I'll tell you
Yes,
what.
sir.
I mean, Melissa, how many contracts did we do? Is she off?
No?
Oh, well, we'll get back to her. Maybe she's having a
Can you hear me
party.
now?
because
Yeah, we can
okay.
hear you.
Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah, I think I did 5 contracts for them. So,
Oh my God.
but yeah, my numbers weren't great last week. I had just 41 contacts. I didn't have any appointments or agreements signed.
But at least we're under contract.
Yeah,
Isn't
at
that your
least there's
sec-
that.
isn't that your second one?
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you.
Good job, Melissa.
Thank you, Sherry.
That's some serious work on that one. Okay, so, I know if you feel like it puts you on the spot when we ask for those numbers, but really it's, if you think about it, it's for you to reflect as well, right? So it's an opportunity for you to say, wow, you know what? If I do it at this pace, I'm never going to get anywhere, but I need to get to this pace. And so what do I have to do to get there? So it's all about looking at your numbers and saying to yourself, what do I need to do to get there? Right? Because at the end of the day, this is about your business and you, not about me, not about Bruce, it's about you and helping you get there. And I think sometimes looking at your numbers, I used to tell people that every day. It's not just this business, it's any business. Know your numbers and then work from them, right? Because it tells you where you're going. And so I just always strongly suggest that people take a look at that on a daily basis or a weekly basis. When I was in Bold, boy, I'll tell you what, and we had to do those contacts, I was on that thing every day staring at it. Okay, so what do I got to do today? Okay, I got to make up 12 from yesterday, that kind of thing. So,
Hey, Harry, may I jump in?
Yeah.
Cool. I you guys know I like to share from experience. Bruce, I love the disc profile. The disc profile, if you guys haven't done that yet, do the disc profile. I love it. And my personality absolutely cannot stand the detail pieces, the tracking, those things. I resisted them. It was kind of like journaling. It was kind of like just things in life that, you resist because of your personality type of thing. And I resisted it, and I kept hitting walls. I kept hitting ceilings. I kept hitting these mental barriers of where am I going? What am I doing? And what I realized is those walls is because I didn't have clarity on some things. And so I need to share with you guys how long it took me to actually find a belief, a want and desire, and to a point where it became a need, a necessity in my business to track my numbers. So I don't know the exact time frame, but it's somewhere in between a year and a half. My coach and I worked on this day in and day out. I got to the point, you guys, where I resisted so much about tracking my numbers that I didn't have to, I wanted to bad. I signed an agreement with my coach that said, if it's a pain versus pleasure type of thing. I signed an agreement with my coach that said, basically, if I don't track the metrics that I need to track for my business, and it was my metrics, my business, he didn't dictate what it was. I know in this, we do kind of dictate what metrics you're tracking just so you guys can get on a path, right? But it took me forever. I ended up spending an extra, I think it was like $350 directly to my coach's wife. And it hurts, right? And it started, it was $50 an occurrence. If I didn't have my numbers in on time, he could tell if I was chopping my numbers because I would put them in and then he would say, okay, what are your numbers for this week? Basically it's hands up. I can't, he has to see me. I can't get on my computer and look at what I fudged in there. And so if what I fudged in there was not what my mind or what my word said, I owed her $50. And about $350 in, it was painful. I just kept thinking, oh God, I got to do this check again. It's not even just about the $50. I got to write this check. I got to do this. And slowly, I finally got there. So give yourself some grace, but understand it is 1000% a necessary evil. There's no history in all the history of businesses that don't have some sort of tracking accounting system. So I want to share with you guys that because I think when we talk about it, we there could be this draw to think that we expect you to just get off the ground and running with it. You don't. It's not natural for us. We got to go through that and be methodical. So that's why we're kind of hitting home on numbers right away. That's all
Yeah,
I got here.
and Bruce said it. I don't care what business is in. One of the divisions I had was circulation. So every day I wanted the circulation number. I wanted how many stops we had. And I wanted how many complaints we got that day from customers who didn't get a paper. And everybody would go, "Why do we need it every day?" Well, because it would track. It would tell me where we're going. It would give me the pulse of our business. And if one was going one way, what could we do to change that? And it's the same in your business, right? If you're not doing one of the steps, what could you do to make up that step? Because all those steps help you become successful at real estate. It's not about, oh, I want to get Melissa because she didn't do it this week. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with you looking at your business and taking a snapshot every day. Where do I need to go? If I'm going to get there, how do I get there? And those numbers help you make those decisions. And I used to tell people that they'd look at me like I was nuts because I'd ask for stuff. What time did we got off the press? Well, why do you need to know that today? We got the papers out because I want to know. That's how we can give a pulse to our business. That's how we can dictate how things are going in our business. And if we have to tweak something, it's an easier tweak to do it then than to wait 2 months and go, "Oh my God, I'm so far behind. Now what are we going to do?" And this way, you're just watching yourself grow. That's why we do it. Okay. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
All good. It's all good.
Go ahead, Bruce. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, folks.
Did Ariana go?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody went.
Cool. No, let's go where we're at. Very similar to how I intro. What can we learn from last week, and what is our focus for this week? Ann?
Learn from last week. I had a tough buyer last week, which I actually enjoy. And I did talk about it on this morning's call too. Just really finding answers to surface rights, water rights, diversion, how many living units can be on acreage, really cool stuff. But yeah, lots of questions. And then this week, I guess I'm pissed this morning which is so stupid. So I got a referral on Friday. Well, now I just found out half hour before the call that they're interviewing 2 realtors, which they of course should do, but I'm totally like, well, why aren't you just going with me? So anyway, I need to get over that myself. So I am hopefully talking to them this afternoon and providing value and winning the deal. But it is a little sore when, I don't know why. It's so stupid. So anyway, and I have 7 listing presentations this week. And yeah, lots of stuff. I have a long list this week.
Good. Erica?
My big thing's mostly sifting through all of this Ignite information and figuring out what I want to move forward with. So I'm doing that. I'm trying to put together my value proposition because I think that part of Ignite was really good for me. So I want to make sure I do that right. So that's kind of my big thing.
Perfect. No, that's good. And just to touch on that too is when Harry and I get calls when you guys first start, they're so valid and they're such a valid question. And until you go through Ignite, you start to realize like we want to help answer a lot of your frustrations and questions, but there's a reason why Ignite is so long, so many hours. It's because there would be no way we could ever have an effective just one conversation around it type of thing, right? So I commend you for going through Ignite. It's so important. I'm sure it's vital and valuable to you. And then with that being said, what I would encourage you to do while it's fresh, Erica, go through and let's say it's like a perfect world. You could in the next 1 week to a month get every single thing done that you want to from Ignite, write down that list, and then make sure you pick out, and you can work with Harry and I on this. It's called the one thing. What it means is that you go through that list and you say, if there's one thing that I could pick out, it might not be like what I want to do, it might not be what I'm drawn towards, but what's the one thing that I told myself for Ignite that I want to do, implement, or execute that will make the other pieces of the list kind of help fall into place or become non-existent? That's your first focus. Set a deadline for that. And even if it's something you've never done, set the deadline. You'll put more pressure on yourself. And if you can't get it done by that deadline, set the secondary deadline. That's the only way to get through like big seminars, Ignite classes, Bold, anything like that. Because there's so many things you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that. That sounds interesting. I should try that. I should look into this sometime real soon, right? It's like, because it's all new and it's all exciting. Sherry, I'm speaking directly to you too. So do that. Chad, are you still here, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, just making sure you heard all that too.
Yep.
So basically what happens, Chad, is when Ignite Regional comes around, I will be sending out a blasted email. So since you're kind of jumped in the middle of it, if you will, and you're just getting started, bear with it. Just like I think Erica went through maybe a month or two before it actually rolled out, but they do it once a quarter for the region. But I also have those Ignite videos. But I know how boring just videos can be. That's a pressure you have to put on yourself to do and be methodical about it. The regional thing, when you sign up, there's that piece of accountability because it's live. So when that rolls out, Chad, you'll be definitely getting the invite. While we're talking, okay. Chad, just one-on-one here. I see this morning, did you happen to get an email from me with the first 30-day rollout that we've been working on? I saw that. I don't think you've, it doesn't say you've accepted the invite, but I can't tell if you've opened the email. So I just want to make sure.
I don't recall seeing it, but I will look in other email that may have come. I haven't seen it, so.
Okay, that's why I want to bring it up, because like I said, I promised you last week I'd send it over to you, and then when I looked this morning, it was just it was still grayed out, like you hadn't gotten into it. And then one of the things that I ran into, Chad, over this weekend is because I built it through a G Suite, the only way I can share it and invite people to it are to use the KW email. It's like going to make that a forceful thing.
Okay.
So just to verify, what is your KW email?
Should be Chad M. Brown at KW, I believe. I'm looking at it now and I see some email from you.
Okay,
class invitation and Wednesday.
That's the one.
Training.
Yep, class invitation. That's the one.
Okay, I see it.
Erica, Sherry, you guys are both definitely going to get that invitation. And I haven't sent it to you yet because I just had a conversation with Chad about it. But you guys are going to be getting an invitation. You guys started while I was, while Harry and I were in the process of building this thing. So, Sherry, when you first got started, feel lost. And, I have to fall on my sword and apologize. I feel like Harry and I are great resources for you guys, but there was still something that we were building, and it took some time, and I really hope it's effective for the amount of time it took, but I'm going to send you guys an invite. And what it is it's for your first 30 days in real estate. There's still plenty of practical applications, but you guys will probably be able to kind of click through and complete a lot of it just from where you're at. But it's going to be this nice thing where, I can't remember who all I've said to what and what we've talked about and how to, what all of that. So this will help you guys just get off that ground. And there's clear instructions, there's comments. I never used Google Classroom before, but it's pretty amazing what it is. So now that I've said this to you, I'm going to send you guys that invite, and I would love for you guys to go through and treat it like a business, like it's like day one of your career. At McDonald's, you got to go through training videos before you get on the fry machine and stuff like that. So go through there, but you guys will probably be able to click through there quite a bit, have some knowledge around it. But I want all three of you guys to poke holes. I need the holes poked. Anne, Melissa, Tim, Ariana, happy to share this with you guys too. A lot of that in there is elementary, but if you guys wanted to see it, go through it, and maybe there is 2 or 3 things in that first 30 days that we just haven't talked about. It just never came up. So I need to know whether you guys want that, because it's pretty easy for me to send out the invite. I just wasn't going to blast the whole PC group with it. Takers, no takers?
I'll do it.
What?
Okay,
Oh,
Melissa.
I didn't know you were asking a question. Sorry.
And I may not have phrased it that way.
I've been up
I
since
didn't know it was a
3,
question
so
either.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
happy to help with whatever. Sorry.
Nope, it's not happy to help you. The other thing about you, Ann, is you run your business a little differently. And so like half of what you and I talk about one-on-one and do, it's a little different than what that traditional model is too. So
Okay.
Melissa, I'll definitely be sending that to you. And I'll leave it up to you, but I don't see you touching a whole lot of it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to piggyback on what Bruce said about Ignite. So one of the things I learned from Ignite was they would bring in all these great realtors who were great at whatever lead generation we were going to focus on that day, right? Whether it was cold calling, whether it was whatever it was, right? And I would go out of there going, yeah, wow, I got to do all, yeah, okay. And boy, every week I would start adding more to my what I needed to do list. And I got overwhelmed, right? It was like, oh my God, I can't do all these things. I don't know how they do them all. Well, first of all, if you think about it, and you're not when you're in the class, they don't do them all, right? It's just that you got it from everybody and you got all these things thrown at you and you're sitting there going, oh, whoa, 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 yeah. I always say this. There was a couple, and Eric, I bet I could ask you right now and say, of all the Ignite stuff and the lead generation stuff that they went over, one of them sparked your interest, or 2 of them you went, oh yeah, I really, really like that one, right? That's an indication for you to say to yourself, I want to study that one a little more. That might work for me, right? And you're going to pick probably no more than 3. 3 would be pushing it for now. And you're going to say, I'm going to learn and I'm going to figure them out. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to add that to my base. And then as I grow and get better, I'll figure out another one to add. But I know at the end of the day, all of you that go to Ignite, there's a couple of them that you say, I really like this. This is me. This is who I am. And those are the ones that I want you to master, because then you could teach the class exactly in Ignite on that particular lead generation source, right? So I just ask you to do that. Take a step back, like Bruce said. Take a look at everything that you just did through Ignite. Go through all your notes. And there's that big one. That big one might be your first lead generation program, right? Learn it and do it well. And that'll get you those 40 contacts that we were talking about. So just remember that when you go through Ignite, there's a lot of that stuff in Ignite that just doesn't fit Erica or it doesn't fit Sherry. It has to fit you for it to work well for you. And that's all I'm asking you to do is take and evaluate that and then move forward. Okay, Bruce, back to you.
I know. Sherry, I just realized my communication with you and on our roster is definitely through your Gmail account, and I can only do this through the KW one.
Oh, that's
So,
fine.
So I probably need to verify. Can I verify that with you? I
Yeah.
can always ask Sherry too, but what is it? I'm gonna write it down right now.
shecht@kw.
Sweet. We'll get that sent off to you guys right away here.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning,
Good
Ed.
morning.
And Erica, email, KW email real quick.
Yeah, it's just Erica Rice at KW.
I mean,
Oh, how come I forgot how to do this? God, drive me nuts.
okay, rock and roll. I lost my train of thought. But that was my big announcement. I'm so excited to get this off the ground and running.
I've been trying to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I make you host again? I forgot.
Oh, Harry, come on now.
I know,
You
every
don't have
day.
to, you can't admit that to people on here. Jiminy Christmas. No, we were going around and Robin. I picked on Erica and Sherry and Chad there for a second. So we know where you guys are at. Ariana.
I had a tough situation last week, but afterwards, I got like 3 leads, and then I sent like 2 listing presentations to the to them, and then what else did I do? Oh, I went to the neighborhood, door knocked. Got nice responses. Everyone's like, "Oh, good luck," from my neighbors. They're really nice about it, and they're like, "Oh, good luck." Like, I didn't know you lived here for like 20 years almost. It was good. It was a good end of the week.
Awesome. No, and you did. Can I go into it slightly? I won't bring up all the
Yeah.
details. Okay. First and foremost, Ariana, speaking 1000% directly to you right now. Way to persevere through that. I remember my first. I have a first. You just went through your first. We will all remember our first because guaranteed it happens. So what I commend you with, Ariana, is pivoting quickly. It sounds like you had an emotional, stance on it when it first hit. And you guys, I'm a big proponent of you can't control your first thoughts, but you damn well can control your seconds, right? That's what I believe Ariana did just based upon what she said. And it is freeing. The world works in mysterious ways. I'm a firm believer in that. If Ariana would have just sat there and just kind of got all emotional about it and just sat there and curled up in a ball, I don't believe the world would have given her those 2 or 3 leads. I don't believe they would have given her the emotion and the energy to go door knocking. So I commend you for recognizing that, having a second thought around it, and pivoting. So with that being said, we all have our first. We all do. Mine isn't as rough as Ariana's, but if I felt the way I felt, I can't imagine what Ariana felt last week. I commend you for being on this call. Like what you went through, you have to start to wonder if you want to even wake up this week and get on these Zooms.
What
So I commend
happened?
you. I'll tell you.
Okay, I'm like, oh my God.
you can tell them.
I won't give them all the details. My first one, basically what I got a lead. I was working with them. I was working my tail off with them. I was doing everything known to man, except what I preach to you guys day in and day out. Interpret the market. You don't make the market. It's not your opinion. Blame Canada, blame the market, blame the title company, blame the lender, blame who it is. Unless it's you, then fall on your sword and blame yourself. But blame people. And I didn't blame the market, meaning I didn't interpret the market. I told my buyer how the market was. I didn't show them what the market is. And so my buyer, we put in some time, we put in all of this, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. And this lady is in our office today. I actually recruited her to my downline because we got to know each other based upon this. I get a call from an agent, and they said, "Hey, are you working with so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah, who's this and how can I help?" And basically my buyers couldn't stand what I was doing, how I was doing it, didn't trust me, didn't say a word. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't set an expectation around it. And the other agent started to get like a little sniff that they had another agent. Something was up. And for me, I was so young and green, I didn't really understand that they felt that way. I sensed that we were fading away. We were fizzling. Ended up, going under contract on a house. I put countless hours in. They signed 2 buyers agencies with us, with me and that other agent. It would have just been a battle. I didn't want to deal with it. I let the other agent take whatever they needed to, and I wasn't going to fight for it because I had to make sure my second thoughts were understanding that it was my fault. But it hurt. I mean, when I called that guy to kind of, ask like, what's going on? I want to know. He read me the riot act. My client read me the riot act, told me I was the worst agent he ever had, told me I should never be in the industry, told me that, you know, I didn't do anything for him, and that it pains because I felt like I was doing the polar opposite of what he was saying. Ariana has a little different one. And I don't know if Ariana and I will ever really know the full details, but Ariana's been working with this client. She's under a buyer's agency with them. We've been trying to work with this lender. I truly believe, I think the lender screwed the pooch in the relationship on this. Your vendors are so important. You know, it's kind of like that fool me once, you know, great. Fool me twice, shame on me type of thing. So I always give vendors, you know, at least one shot, but they don't ever get really two shots with me unless like I can prove validity in the thing that was missed the second time. Went through, had this lender, just wouldn't call them back, wouldn't do this and do that. And you guys, when we refer people, it's a reflection on us, how they interact and react. And I think that these people really thought that Ariana and this lender had like just this close tie together, that it was necessary for them to want to use Ariana's lender as long as they were using Ariana type of thing. They saw an ad. I don't know if it was on the radio or whatever, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They saw an ad, and it was an agent advertising about one of their preferred lenders. Okay. And so they called the number on the ad, and it went directly to the agent. Agent pushed over the contact info to the lender. I believe that the buyer did not disclose what they were supposed to disclose, and they got pre-approved with this lender. And I think because of that experience, they looked at Ariana as not the professional. She was not the professional that helped them accomplish their goals. And that sucks because Ariana's been doing everything necessary and right to get them there. But I believe that's the way they felt. So they get pre-approved with this lender. And next thing you know, they're setting up a buyer's consult with this other agent that set them up with that lender. I believe there's a lot of lies back and forth. I had a conversation with that other agent. And then Ariana turned around and had a conversation with that other agent. And what Ariana was told was completely different than what was told to me. And so that's bingo right there. Her clients are lying to her. The other agents lying to her. The lender, you guys get this, the lender refused. Harry, you're going to flip out on this because I flipped my lid on this lender. The lender refused to give Ariana or the buyer the lender letter. They made sure that that lender letter went to the agent that had the ad, and that agent was the one who basically took the rights to the lender letter and held that close, like, this is your ticket, this is your gate pass, you have to work with me. All in all, there were so many lies and so many things, you know. I think Ariana made a big decision. Ariana, you know, and kudos to you. She made the decision to release her clients. She sent the email saying, look, I got words. She sent the email saying, look, our relationship is over. You know, take this as written notice that I will not be working with you. So I commend her for that, for being brave and doing that and going through it, but it's not easy. I don't
Take
care
that
who you
lender
are.
and
It's
never
not
use
easy.
them again.
Yep.
I never knew who it was. I just knew their name was like Ellie.
Yep. Ellie. That's all I knew too.
That Ellie.
I
Yep.
can attest to like that story through my experience through real estate as well. As I've been doing it for a little bit over a year now. One of my first buyer leads, my lender called him 10 minutes late, and he blew his lid and said, "You're the worst agent ever. Never contact me again." I was like, okay. Wasn't really anyone's fault. People are 10 minutes late. He was just a salty guy. And then secondly, which is a little bit more in accordance with the story I was just told, I had buyer's agents all signed. We showed probably 8 houses, almost put an offer on one, but they decided not to. And they were using their friend who was a lender. And after, you know, I've been chatting with them and nurturing them for a long time, they decided to just swap over agents because their lender was just like, yeah, you should use this agent. And I asked the buyers, like, what could I have done? Blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, you did it perfectly. Basically, the lender just hyped up the other agents so much that they decided to make a change. They wouldn't really tell me anything past that. And that was another buyer out of my pocket.
When you
Happened.
think of a lender like that, he's got very short tunnel vision, because he lost out on business down the road, a lot of business. And now Ariana tells us, so we wouldn't use that person. Bruce wouldn't use that person. I probably wouldn't use that person. So what did they gain? That one client? And they could have gained a lot more clients. See, that's just how silly it is. That's just so narrow-minded thinking. They're for the moment, right? I'm going to make that money for the moment. And that's what Gary Keller talks about when he talks about a transaction broker and a relationship broker, right? That's a classic of that. So you got to Ariana, you just got to go, yep, they're lost.
Yeah.
And that's how you look at it.
I got surprised by the other agent. He's like, I don't have contact with them until I have a pre-approval letter. I was like, what? I was like, you don't like connect or anything with them or at all?
That's exactly why he's
I just thought that. I didn't tell him,
lying.
but he just
Flat
kept
out
babbling. I was like, wow.
Yep, flat out lies. I sniffed that out from a mile away. I've never in the history of any of my transactions never started to build a relationship before somebody signed with me. That's ridiculous. Moving on. Brashears.
So something I've learned over the past months is tend to spend way too much time on certain people, and it takes away from my business in other aspects. So my 2 buyers, I just kind of threw away like hours and hours of lead gen to get them under contract. And so that was a lesson that I'm still learning and trying to not do. And focus for this week, it was my birthday last week, and I have like 100 people who like contacted me, and Jimmy said that for his birthday, he wrote every person back individually, and he like was able to start some really good conversations. So I'm going to try to take a page out of his book and follow up with all of them, and just follow up with all my leads and really get back on track.
Thanks, Melissa, for bringing that up. What she just said there, if you guys have questions, let me know. But when somebody reaches out to you, you have every excuse to reach back out to them. And the birthday thing is fantastic because it's just a list of people that wanted or thought about you enough to even post it, right? Perfect. I appreciate you bringing that up. Barton.
What I have learned is that while you're building your business, and even if leads aren't paying off immediately, you're still building your business, and that they might come back and help you out later. So you're not wasting your time a lot of the time, even though you feel like it. As Bruce knows, I've been kind of going through a rough period. I haven't been doing like much lead genning at all, but I've still been getting leads like calling me and hitting me up just because I talked to them a long time ago. And, we made the connection, they trust me. And so that was very refreshing. And then what I'm working on is just kind of being a bit more relationship focused in a way, to see if I can, that scenario we were just talking about the lenders, right? That if you were good friends with the buyers, that probably won't end up happening. And treating leads almost more like friends and buyers, and trying to shift perspectives and things like that. So, yeah.
No, good. I don't even want to touch on it, but I'm going to make an announcement. Just taking a note here for myself. So this week, we were going to have a lender on our Wednesday call to talk a little bit about lending and how that works and what they do. I was bringing in a First Bank guy, so we'll have Grant from Simple Loans on here, but there's lenders out there that do things that Grant does not, and First Bank is one of those entities that has some one-off things. So we were going to have him on there. Something came up with him and their dynamics at work. A lot of changes. I think they caught somebody doing something bad, and he called me and needs to cancel. That's perfect. I kind of really wanted, I really wanted my time on Wednesday. And so we are going to do something that I've been working on. And I think, you know, out of everyone in this group, Brady and I have really connected over this topic and what we're doing and where you see it. And Brady, maybe he'll throw in a couple cents here when we get to him this morning, but we're going to be doing a class called Persevering Through This Market. You know, what options do you have? What choices do you have? What are you faced with? Some of the realism behind where we're at. Nobody ever in the history of our market would have ever guessed or depicted where we're at today. We are in a tough market. I've been working with I told you guys the last time, we've been working out with my coach to figure out who's doing what, how are people being successful. And when you have a market that nobody has ever touched before, it's just like, you know, the Wright brothers wanting to fly. They're crazy, right? So I'm going to do whatever I can to be crazy to figure out how I can help you guys with this market. But before then, we just need to have a real conversation. And I hope Brady might bring up a couple points about what we're doing. And I know I shared with you guys one of his successes from last week. And I truly believe it's some of it is based upon our conversation and some of it is based upon Brady getting deep with himself. So we won't touch on it too much, Brady, but because I definitely want to have a conversation on Wednesday about it. But we're gonna be looking at that and in conjunction with a professional scorecard. So a professional scorecard I'll introduce on Wednesday, but we need to understand where we're at in the market, how to persevere through it. What are some of the options that you have? Most of you guys couldn't come up with options right now. I know the options. I see where we're headed. I know what we're doing. And there's a professional scorecard that will help kind of shed some light and clarity on it as well. So more to come. Ed, anything you learned from, well, Ed got on DocuSign last week. He's got an action item for me. When are you going to get me your mock buyers?
Some things came up. I haven't started it yet, but I think I've got things in place where I can start working on it today. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
I'm gonna push you, brother. I'm gonna push you because if I sit down with you, man, and we go through that DocuSign, we gotta keep
having
that
a good
repetition.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a good handle on that subject.
Good. Mary Angeli.
So I've been learning a lot, and it's been crazy. But yeah, I think, you know, I think in a way I was getting too much in my own head, and there are some things that I think I worked through last week and started to realize that you kind of have to make a shift with the market where it's going and understand that. I think I pulled a lot from the family reunion thing, understanding that where we're going and how we need to kind of stay ahead of that and I think buyers are really good. I'm going to continue to find buyers, but trying to get more on the listing side and understand how to help people and educate people. And so I've been more effective in my conversations with for sale by owners through that, and just making sure that I bring value to them and have like meaningful conversations with them. So
impromptu, Brady. What are you doing Wednesday from 9 to 11?
Let's see, let me look real quick. I'm going to be at the persevering thing probably.
Will you tag team that class with me? I'll get together with you. We'll go over an outline and tag team with that with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing I've learned is that just like not getting too down about the reality of our market. And I think this is something that we had in the group chat with Melissa and a couple other people. Like it's tough, but like I think just maintaining that positive attitude, because I think if you don't reflect that positive attitude on your phone calls, then people are going to sense that and they're just going to they're not going to want to work with you. So like staying positive and just trying to educate people. I just got off the phone with a for sale by owner, talked to him for like 45 minutes. And I was like, man, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think this is a beautiful time to be in real estate, especially of investment stuff. Like you can sell it, you could not sell it. Like there might be some investment opportunities in the coming months. So just trying to be there for people, even though they're not necessarily your client yet. Just trying to help people as much as I can.
Yeah, first they clearly don't have an agent. They clearly don't have a relationship with somebody in the industry, and if they do, well, that friend's probably pissed off at them for not using them, right? No, more to come on Wednesday for that for sure. It's 12:04. I've got a lot of these topics to go over, so let's start diving into them one-on-one or one at a time here. Too much time on leads. Too much time on leads. This tells me that we got to get down and dirty again and bring up the tool. All right, the tool, the pipeline tool. Whenever you find yourself working too many hours and too many things on one person, and then you come to find out later that it wasn't worth it, it was because you weren't down, you were not, or just don't have a pipeline. But what it is, Melissa, is you defined them probably by emotion and not fact as much as you would want to, or you're just beginning to learn the pipeline and it's not really your fault because you're just still fumbling through and learning. So let's look at the pipeline here for a sec. So going to my KW, it's basically in Connect, however you guys want to get there. So when you guys go into Connect, very much you're gonna, and I have a video on this on YouTube too. So we're just gonna do it briefly, but on that YouTube playlist, I have a video, revisit the pipeline tool. But what you'll notice is if you can click on growth here, or no, I changed it. It usually has a drop down arrow. Gosh darn it. All right, let's see if I can fumble through to get here on this. I believe it's Career Growth Initiative. Oh, perfect. Okay, they did update that link. So when you guys go into Career Growth Initiatives, you should be able to scroll down and keep going and keep going. Then you get into these, like this little area here, and this is some tools. Listing management tools for individual agents, rainmakers. Again, I cannot say this enough. Connect is your source. It's Keller Williams University online. There's nothing in here I have not been able to find, unless it came from another, institution such as like Tom Ferry or Brian Buffini or something. So go down, and here's the tool that I'm looking for. You download the pipeline tool, and that's where it's at. But for the sake of this video, what you guys need to know about this pipeline tool is this helps you define and work on things in a different light. So the pipeline tool is a tool where you rank your leads 1 through 10. 10 being they're going to be ready to buy now. Like but they have property to look at. They're at a price point, they're financially sound, they're ready, willing, and able, all of the above. They're going to be pulling the trigger in the next couple of days to a month. And a month would be just like a weird circumstance. Like that's how ready a 10 is. There's a lot of people in this group included that send me their pipeline and want me to coach on that. And so I go through that with them. And I will be honest with you, more often than not, every time I pick apart that pipeline, most people have defined some things wrong. I see 10s all the time on pipelines. And then when I ask when the last time you showed them a house was, and well, we haven't actually seen a house yet. They're not a 10 then, right? Because we have to define it as the market. If the inventory is super, super low, but they have some things to look at, but you've never gone out there and you've looked at a house, you're not being real in your mind. You're gonna have to look at houses. Then they're gonna have to make a good offer, which 98% of buyers that I work with, no matter how much I educate them, their first offer they make on a house is not the thing that's going to get the bid. I mean, Melissa's smiling. Brady doesn't even want to look at the camera because they go, we're all going through that right now. It's a tough market. So I can't imagine having a 10 on a pipeline right now unless they're a seller and you have photos back and the house is ready and all you're doing is finalizing paperwork. That's a 10, right? So make sure, my pipeline probably never has more than 1 or 2 10s on it. That's why I say in my pipeline, I like to see, I track my 8 through 10s. I want at least 5 or 6 8 through 10s. Majority of the time, I don't have 10s. So watch that video, go through there. Don't trick yourself and second guess yourself. When somebody says I'm 6 months away because of a lease, that you can't rank them as a 7. You cannot do it if you understand it. What that means is they pull the emotion out of you. They want to talk to you. They call you all the time. They want you to do research on properties. They make you think that they're right here, but the facts are they can't and they won't do it until their lease is up. So you have to be methodical about how you rank them. The reason why I'm hitting so hard on this is because the better you get at ranking them, the less time you spend with them, right? So Brady's working with a gentleman who's completely unrealistic, right? If you looked at Brady's client, right, like, and just heard from a 1,000-foot view, most people would rank his client as a 9 or a 10. His client in my world is about a 6 or a 7. Yeah, 5. See, exactly. And what does a 5 mean, Brady? It means you reach out to me when you want to. I'm not putting effort into you, type of thing, right? And so
you could see there's just tons. That's Harry, our other coach.
I think we might be getting somebody new. So what it is, you guys, is there she is. What it is, you guys, is he, where was I at? Rank correctly, and you will not, well, you always waste time in this industry, but it's not a time waste. It's about working through things.
I hate it when people say time waste, and we've been saying it over and over. It's not time waste. This is about relationships, and this is building our business, like Tim was saying. So wasting a time on a leader, wasting a time on a buyer, wasting a time on a client, that is, to me, that is doing your business a disservice. And I think that we need to do a little shift on that, because you're not wasting your time.
Nope, thanks for correcting me. I didn't even like it.
You're educating, you're building your business, and you're
I think a better word, Ann, because you never really waste your time when you're working with clients, is to be effective with your time.
Yes,
right. So how can you be
100%.
more effective with your time?
But I don't think
there's only so much time in the day. So how do you become effective with that time?
But with our clients, I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm spending a lot of time with this client. Well, you're supposed to, because that's your job.
Be careful.
I agree, but if they're going to back out of contracts, that's
100%.
That's
not what I'm saying. Because also the time and the effort that you put into your existing clients will multiply by spades down the line. So I don't know.
Maybe not. I've been burnt way too many times with I'm a positive thinker, and I've been burnt way too many times. Just be careful. That I get what you're saying, Ann. I totally get it. And I'm not taking away from that at all. I just don't want to lead some of these folks into spending countless hours just because.
I have hundreds of leads that are on a drip campaign that probably will never hear from me again.
Thank you for bringing up that other point. Okay, cool.
I'm talking about the ones that we nurture, get under contract, get that. We have to sustain those relationships because they will pay back in spades.
That's a different conversation. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yep. Awesome. Sorry, just to keep rolling with it. Due diligence for buyers. So this was what Ann brought up. Due diligence for buyers. Went through last week and learned, water rights, surface rights, mineral rights, those types of things. Ann, will you share with them kind of what you went through? I popped a comment on that Facebook post, and I never checked back up on it to see if there was any other feedback on it. But
it's an agent. And that's, of course, the first person I went to was the listing agent, but it's an agent that doesn't like to ever get back to people. So that was tricky. But what it was a buyer that I showed a 35-acre, $1.2 million property, super interested, had every issue. Could you build more on the property? Could you sell off the front portion of your property? Water diverted on your property that isn't yours, surface rights, water rights, sand, soil. Literally, it was a laundry list of things. And even though I knew a lot of the answers, I was 99.9% sure of my answers. But instead, I took the humble approach, which is not usually me. And I said, I will look into it and find you an answer. And air rights, he wanted mineral, like I'm literally like, were you sent by the state to quiz me? But it was really
Ooh, that's a good
interesting
topic
for
too.
me. I learned a ton over the weekend. And I guess it's just for us to actually be prepared, because we are in Northern Colorado and we are selling, land with properties. And, can you take that water and use it as irrigation? Is it city water? Is it well water? Is it, what kind of water is it? So many questions. So it was a huge learning opportunity for me. And I guess the client and I kind of learned together as well.
I so appreciate you bringing that up. And that's where, I know we bring this up a lot, but this is something that has to be brought up. When you get a client like that, Ann knows, Ann is very effective. She's got a sound business. She's been doing this for a while. She knows that sometimes when you want to answer something, you have to kind of think like, okay, is this my opinion? Am I 1000% sure? And could this be construed as he said, she said?
Mm-hmm.
So I brought this up a couple different times. I know an agent who got fined, from her, who got fined basically by her clients. It wasn't by her clients. It was the commission that fined her. And then she got a settlement to basically award them something for the headache. But she looked up something in public records, told them what public records said, and got popped for it. It's a long story, but what it is public records is not within our license law, and public records is known to be off. And so by saying what public records says to be true is not true, because she should know better and it's not part of her license. So mineral rights, water rights, surface rights, all of those things, that was the basis of my comment back to her, was it could be a lot of these things. However, it's got to come from the horse's mouth, the HOA, something like that. Because a lot of what we do can only be in speculation. And let's say you have a construction background. You know exactly what needs to be fixed. There's something that's wrong. Well, unfortunately, you're licensed in real estate now. Forget about your construction background. You let the inspector do that, and you let another professional that has a license or certification in that topic to then handle that situation. You make a suggestion like, hey, I know a lot about a lot, but I can't be 100% sure. But this window, this crack, this thing, I think we should really focus in on an inspection. Sound good? Good. It comes down to all of that. And that was such a beautiful post. That's what that Facebook page is for. I really appreciate that. I really appreciated seeing that for sure. So if you guys run into any of those things, give us a call, put it on that Facebook page. Happy to help and interact. But we got to stay within our license, no matter our background and how much we understand and know. Cool. I had a little learning experience, snafu last week. I sold a property a year ago, and when we bought that property, when I say sold, sorry, I had a buyer who purchased a property about a year ago. I'm sorry. Oh, the Facebook page. Let me text Kayla real quick.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for what happened to me last week. And
I think you handled it well. Very well.
Feel like I now know what's important to him, and I try to every time I talk to him, be prepared with that information. But it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But it's our job.
Okay. Chad, sorry, we will get you on that Facebook page. I'm doing roster cleanup today, actually, this afternoon with my assistant. So we purchased a home last year, and we went through the process, and what we did was we took the seller's word as face value. So it's a property in an area where it's a 4-owner association, governed and ran by the developer, who is one of the 4 properties still on the lot. So what happened is the developer, quote unquote, the old property owner, wanted to subdivide his acreage into 3 more parcels. This was done back in 2016. And in 2016, the county said, great, you can do that. But since you're adding this lane to this property, we need to make sure that there's nobody can basically block another party from accessing their property. And without a proper agreement, you know, it could be a legal battle down the road. So the mandate from the county to this builder was to have a HOA just simply for the right of use. Okay. Now we got the documents. I've been to too many horror classes to try and overstep my bounds. I used to really be frustrated with like being ready, trying to have all the answers, being there for my clients. That's my fiduciary duty. I now have seen so many people get just completely thrown. They're out of the industry anymore. They can't practice this anymore because of something so simple that they said to their clients. I used to feel like it was a cop-out. No more, not worth my time. So I sent over HOA docs to my buyer, said, you read through them, you do whatever you need to. And then basically the MLS said that there was no HOA fee. Well, come to find out, my buyer didn't read through the docs. There's a $200 annual HOA fee. Do you know why I'm learning this now? Because I just listed this property, listing online that there's an HOA with no HOA fee, and that the HOA is just simply for bylaws for right of access, so no one can block the access. I sent the developer an email. It's rule number 101 is I got the HOA docs last year. You cannot send those HOA docs, could be no longer completely relevant, right? So I reached out to the developer to, as much as I don't want to go through that extra time, I have the HOA docs. I guarantee they didn't change, but I can't, right? So I needed to reach out to the developer, and the developer wife emailed me back, and she starts not over speaking, but I had to make a decision. I got an email back that said, hey, here's the HOA docs. You know, hey, and just let the buyers know that over the last couple of years, we haven't charged the $200 annual fee. I was like, say what? There's a $200 annual fee? Because like, if there's a $200 annual fee, it's up to the board, or in this situation, it's a 1-member board, basically. It's up to them whether they're going to charge this or not. But since it's in the docs, it has to be advertised that way. It can't be a verbal, we're never going to charge you, right? The developer could come back to me and say, yeah, just don't worry about that. We'll never charge them. Well, it's in the docs, right? You can't just not worry about something because somebody says something. So I'm sitting here going, oh gosh, we just went under contract. There's no HOA deadlines in the contract. I accepted a contract with no HOA deadlines, and it's my freaking job to do so, right? So I sent out an email saying, look, falling on my sword. We took the old owner's verbal response. My client didn't bring it up. There's a $200 annual HOA fee. Here's the name and number to the developer. Here's the exact text that they said. We completely understand and will allow you to back out of this contract should this be something that presents a hurdle for you guys. Sincerely apologize. This is not within my ethics or morals. And I completely understand what you guys, if your guys' thoughts are upset. And I sent that out. I'm still waiting on an email back. It's been about 2 days. It kind of just goes back all the way around to all of that. It still happens. I had an issue. I had all of that. And same thing, the due diligence, you're tackling this right. It's frustrating not to know. Sometimes you got to say, look, I think I have an idea, but I can't just say it.
Are we ever supposed to, I actually read HOA docs in my spare time because I love them. Are we ever supposed to paraphrase those or pull anything out for our clients? Or is it always send it, you read it yourself?
Do you have your HOA manager's license?
I do not.
Okay. If you did, it would be in the scope of that license. So you would.
Okay, so it's always an attachment and you tell them to read this.
If you're interpreting HOA documents, you're interpreting a legal document that an attorney drew up for the HOA entity, which means you're practicing law.
Gotcha.
In
Okay,
an arena that we can't.
gotcha.
And it sucks because sometimes we understand exactly what it's saying.
Can we
and-
say, the answer to your question might start on page 3?
You can, yeah, might
Okay.
start
That's
on
fine.
page 3. You
Okay,
cannot
that's
say,
what I
you
said.
cannot say the answer to your question is on
Right.
page 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so particular in the court of law that might has to be in there, and it has to be in written form. The hardest part about verbal is when you do something verbally and no one can actually remember the words. Verbal is still a binding contract in the court of law.
Because
The only thing
my
that trumps
agent told
verbal,
me, Your Honor, my agent told me, and then you're sunk, right? It's his word against their word, and the judge is probably going to go, oh, I could see a realtor telling them they know everything. I mean, I just,
To cover yourself sometimes, do you,
Yep.
when you do get the word from the other listing agent, do you write that in writing then per the listing agent and then write down what the answers were?
I will never call a listing agent to ask a question in which I know for a fact I'm going to need in writing anyways.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yep, that's kind of my defining line is,
Okay.
am I asking a question that they're going to get me an answer that then I have to verbally interpret? Ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna send an email. I want their email response. I want that document. And then I'm gonna make sure I have threads on all of that. Mhm.
interesting, yeah, okay,
And we're gonna say it over and
Yeah.
over again. We don't share with you guys the lawsuits that go on at our office, but it's a necessary evil in our leadership situation. Out of those 3 market centers, it's not uncommon for each month 1 or 2 of you guys to be taken to mediation, be under scrutiny, be in a possible lawsuit situation.
I mean,
Yes.
no, I mean, if you think about it, we're in the business for the real estate, right? We don't know anything about water. We don't know anything about foundations. We don't know anything about a lot of stuff. And why would we want to give our input when we could get a licensed professional to make those decisions for your people? But at the end of the day, your buyer's going to be happy that you did it anyway, because they're the ones that have to live with it, not you. And that's the way I kind of approach it. I go, listen, Bruce, I'd love to help you with that. I'm just not an expert in it. And I want you to get the best information you could possibly get. So let me connect you with somebody that could probably answer that question for you and go from there. Hey, by the way, if you don't mind, let me know just the answer, because I'm curious as heck, not any other reason.
what do you do if, we have a very known, agent in Northern Colorado that doesn't like to have things in writing? And he was the one I was dealing with on this, and it was an offer situation that my client would have put an offer on the table, but I hadn't heard back. So then he called me so that he didn't have to put things in writing. What do you do in that situation? I mean, my client lost, and it's okay that he lost. He wasn't prepared anyway, but what do you do?
Yep. No, this is a great topic. You have to understand that there's a reason why we have so many docs. I know everybody gets upset with all these disclosures and these and da 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 da. The reason being is you do not actually have to talk to the other side in the slightest. The documents can get you from under contract to close without any communication. Does that suck? Absolutely. And when you have that other agent on the other end, Ann, I don't pick up their calls. I make them state their message through the contracts. Because that's how clear
that's how twice. And yeah. And it all worked out, but it is frustrating because they're playing a game and you're just like, yeah.
Well, and like I said, this is the biggest game I've ever played. Real estate is all one big game.
And it only takes that one time to get tagged.
I know.
And that's why they're doing that, Ann. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Look up their complaint record. They're doing it for a reason.
Ooh, that's exciting today.
You didn't do that yet?
No,
Ann
I'm just going from my own brain. I know. I'm slacking.
You guys, this brings up my last topic of conversation. We have 1 minute left, and that's all it's going to take me. Understand and know that the commission sends out, the real estate commission and CAR send out fake buyers and sellers. Most of the time, when they get a complaint against you that they can't file. So you get a complaint against you and it gets dismissed, be careful for your next couple of sign calls for the next year or so. They will send out fake buyers and sellers to do what they call licensing audits.
Yep.
They're waiting for you to do something where you put the cart in front of the horse and trip up on your license, because it's all about that proof, right? And so if somebody complains against you and just nobody has that proof, and they can make a very valid point, but it's all kind of hearsay or verbal, the commission will take that and go, dang, wish you had more proof, because this sounds very valid, but since you don't, we can't file this complaint. They will send out fake buyers and sellers. And here's the other thing that I've been told is they'll never disclose it to you. They will go through and then they'll ghost you. And then next thing you know, you'll have a complaint on your record, you'll be getting filed, and probably is going to be going back to what the original file was for. And so you'll never actually know who it was, how it happened, what went down, and all of those things. So it's just this CYA conversation. And the more this market gets chippier, this market's chippy right now. There's like that guy up in Fort Collins, he ain't answering, he's doing everything verbal because he doesn't want to be caught. So anyways, that's the last thing I got for you guys. Just be careful out there. I don't need to scare the pants off you. Just do your job. And if you have any questions about, oh, what if, call us. I hope you guys feel like Harry and I respond to you guys. That's what we're here for. I wish you guys the best today. Have a rocking Monday. See you guys.
Yes.
Thanks.